Hello, here is your weekly Montana weather hazards briefing. For updates, please visit the National Weather Service webpage or contact any of the Montana NWS offices. Winds will pick up for the Rocky Mountain Front and North Central Plains Monday and Tuesday, which could cause some blowing snow and drifting snow. Strong winds will also be a risk for the typically wind-favored locations of south central Montana for much of the week, with the strongest winds likely Monday through Wednesday. West of the Divide, freezing fog is a concern overnight into the morning hours for the first few days this week. Then, a series of disturbances is forecast to bring snow and rain, and perhaps some freezing rain, to western Montana later this week. Snow water equivalent remains above normal for this point in the season for basins east of the Divide. Basins that source from along the Divide are largely near normal, while the basins along the western Montana border have well below snowpack for mid-December. Winter weather advisories are in effect for portions of north central and central Montana due to the potential for blowing and drifting snow for Monday and Tuesday. The strongest winds are expected along the Rocky Mountain Front, but gusty winds could extend out toward Cutbank and the I-15 corridor. Gusty winds could also kick up some of the snowpack east of Great Falls, especially in the wind-favored locations between Belt and Stanford. Strong winds are forecast to develop along the Rocky Mountain Front Monday morning and spread east across the rest of the north central plains during the day and persist through Tuesday. High-profile vehicles and towing units could have some issues, in addition to the possible impacts from blowing snow causing reduced visibility and drifting into the roadways. Gusty winds may pick up again later this week across north central Montana, so stay tuned for more information on that potential hazard. Strong winds are also expected to affect the south central part of Montana this week. The biggest impacts will be felt in the typical wind-favored areas for the foothills of the Absaroka and Beartooth ranges extending north to Wheatland County. This includes the frequent trouble spot along I-90 from Livingston to east of Big Timber. The strongest winds will be felt through midweek, but winds are likely to remain gusty through the end of the week. Areas of fog and freezing fog are expected to form in the valleys of western Montana during the overnight and morning hours through Wednesday morning. Sharp reductions in visibility, as well as slick roadways and sidewalks, would be expected impacts in areas where freezing fog develops. A series of disturbances will impact the Pacific Northwest later this week, bringing a chance of precipitation to parts of Montana west of the Continental Divide from Thursday to Friday, and perhaps lasting into Saturday. And the bulk of the precipitation shown on this map will fall later this week. This could bring significant snowfall for the mountains of western Montana, with transportation impacts likely for many of the passes in this area. Snow in the valleys of western Montana may mix with or change to rain or freezing rain at times. Transportation-related impacts would be likely at times for the lower elevations as well. Stay tuned to the latest forecast information from the Missoula NWS office for details on the timing of hazards and impacts as the week progresses. While most of this week will likely feature above normal temperatures for much of the state, especially east of the Divide, the pattern becomes increasingly uncertain next week, with the Week 2 forecast showing equal chances for above or below normal temperatures and precipitation next week. Be sure to check in for updates on potential hazards and impacts during the busy travel time around the Christmas holiday next week. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or concerns, contact any of the 4 Montana NWS offices. We are available 24/7, 365. Have a great week.